My name is Blade Walker, and I just got a comment on one of my videos asking about tips and tricks for installing mods. Well, it's pretty easy to do. All you have to do is find your root directory for the 7 days installation. The standard setup, if you don't change anything, is typically the C drive, program files, x86, Steam, Steam apps, common, and then the actual 7 days folder. What you need to do first is create a folder in here if it isn't already created, which it probably isn't if you haven't used mods before. Create a new folder and call it mods, capital M-O-D-S, just like that. And there's where my mods are. Then you can go online, go to 7daystoDie.com, which I'm going to just go ahead and go back to this was where you would normally come. Then you scroll down a bit to the game modification, the mods section. And then here's a list of mods, including complete overhauls, like Ravenhurst and Darkness Falls, bigger backpack mods, all sorts of great stuff. Now, there's a difference between mods and modlets. A modlet is basically a file that you simply download and then you drop it in your mod folder and you're done. You don't have to do anything else. You will have to unzip the file and then drag it, which I'll show you. It's really easy. But if you're looking for something more complicated, such as the overhaul mods, which is way more than a single modlet, they usually change like the entire game. For those, you can manually install them similar to a modlet, but for those, I highly recommend you use what is it called? The 7 Days to Die mod launcher. I forget exactly what it's called, but it's a mod launcher, and it's really easy to use. You just open it up, you click on the mod, it'll automatically download the game from Steam, install it in a separate folder, so you can even keep separate versions of the game, so that you can still have a vanilla version of the game if you want to play, and you can have a totally separate version which is totally modded. It's a really cool program. But for this little tutorial, I guess, we're just doing a standard or typical mod. So what I decided to do was just click on a random one. We'll click on Lasman's modlets, and then he lists what they are, what they do, who created them, when they created them, what version of the game it's for, Alpha 18.3. You try to make sure you get the one for the correct version, because that can be a serious issue between different versions of the alpha. Like things that work for 18.2 probably won't work for 18.3. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So all you do is you find the mod you're looking for, you click on here where it says information, it'll take you to wherever it is, then it says download link, click on this, and then once it comes up, you can click up here to hit download. If it ever loads. There it is, okay. So then you hit OK, it'll save it to your hard drive, so then you find it, there it is. All you have to do is unzip it. You can use 7-zip. Let's see, what do I actually use? I think I'm not sure. There's several programs you can use, though. You can use 7-zip, you can use WinZip, there's a bunch of them. But all you have to do is extract them to a folder with the same name. And here's something that people mess up a lot, and it's totally understandable. I did it myself. Okay, here's a perfect example. You see how this created a folder called, let's minimize this. It created a folder called Lasman's Auto Trigger. So most people would open the folder. I guess I can go back. They would open a folder, or unzip, excuse me. They would unzip the folder and then just take this folder that's unzipped and throw it in. That won't work. The reason why is because in order for a mod to work, it has to be in that immediate folder. But as you see, there's still a folder in here that has the actual mod. So what you actually have to do is you have to open the folder, find the folder that actually loads to the mod itself, and put that inside the folder. Let me delete that real quick. So you'd open this, that's the actual mod, it's in there. So you have to copy this root folder, or you can just drag and drop it. I usually copy paste because sometimes when you drag and drop, it'll actually move that file. And then you'll have to copy paste it. But that's all you have to do. And now that that's in here, and it goes straight to the config folder, which is where the actual mod is, that means it'll work. But if you leave it like this and you just put the base one in, the mod will not work. It drove me crazy when I first did this because I couldn't figure out why it didn't work. And then I realized it's because there was two folders. The the way these modlets work is the game will only read the first folder in from the base folder that you name it. So yeah, make sure you don't accidentally copy the whole folder. You make sure there's not a separate folder inside because you need the config folder and what's in there. So that should pretty much do it for mods. It's really simple, and the best part is if you use modlets like these, if it causes a crash or an issue, you can simply remove the mod from the folder and the problem will go away because modlets do not actually permanently modify any files. The way it works is every time the game loads up, it automatically loads all of the files you have in here and does like a temporary merge into the game. So it doesn't overwrite any files, but it loads these files first. And then that's how the mods work. It's I don't know if any other game does that, but I think that's just genius. And that way you don't have to manually change values, and then if they mess up or it causes an issue, you have to try to remember what you changed, because one single space, period, comma, quotation, letter deleted or added can screw everything up. So modlets are great. If you don't want to mess with it yourself and somebody already has something, then you're good to go. So I guess that's probably all I can really explain on the modlet side. Maybe if somebody asks, I guess I could do a tutorial on the mod launcher, which is an actual separate interface, which is much more useful for things like the overhaul mods. You can install the overhaul mods, and they are relatively easy to install, but when it comes to a large mod or an overhaul which has dozens or hundreds and hundreds of edits, it's really easy to mess up the installation if you do it manually. So even if you're fairly experienced, it's usually just better to use the mod launcher because it's an all-in-one. It even creates a separate folder with a separate copy of the game so that you can still play vanilla when you want, and then you can play the overhaul when you want. It's really good. I've used it in the past. It's quite good. So I think that will do it for this. Uh, Hopefully this will explain well enough that you guys will understand what to do. So good luck modding.